know more about what's happening outside of your town than in it? Can you name the President of the United States faster than you can recall your city mayor? Well, we have got some startling news for you this evening. Local newspapers across the country are shutting down or being absorbed by outside conglomerates. Communities with no local news source are being called news deserts, and they are popping up all over the country. Expanding news deserts directly impact democracy in America. Over 200 years ago, America fought hard for freedom, for democracy. In order to have a successful democracy, it is imperative to have a free press. Thomas Jefferson once said, "Our liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost." Although America's press is still free, local journalism is starting to vanish. Staffing dropped from around 70,000 employees to 39,000 in just 9 years. The main culprit behind the decline of local journalism is the loss of ad revenue, $31 billion lost, to be exact, in a 10-year period. In addition to fewer journalists and loss of revenue, more than 1 in 5 newspapers in the United States have closed down. Most of the shuttered papers are located in small towns dependent on those newspapers for information. 100 years ago, 9 in 10 papers in the United States were independently owned and operated. Now, 9 in 10 papers are owned by outside corporations. This has led to a decline in local politics and local political reportings. Expanding news deserts directly impact democracy due to the decline in reports covering local politics. Journalists are our political watchdogs. Fewer journalists with boots on the ground open the door for uninformed voters and political corruption. The decline in journalists has led to a decline in candidates for mayoral races, and more, lower voter turnout. Voters in these news deserts also lack political information from the federal level. Due to the lack of funding, 21 states have stopped sending DC correspondents to cover news from our nation's capital. As a result, citizens are becoming more reliant on major news sources to gain their political information. Unfortunately, national news outlets tend to sway strongly in one direction or the other, so the voter is denied a well-rounded political summary. News deserts may sound irrelevant in the age of the internet, with thousands of news stories popping up daily. However, it is paramount and important to remember that local officials make decisions on behalf of you, a citizen of their town, that directly impact your day-to-day life. Giving and receiving of news has been a part of the human condition since the beginning of time. Proverbs 13:17 explains, "An unreliable messenger stumbles into trouble, but a reliable messenger brings healing." We must bring back the local news in all its glory in order to restore balance to democracy. It is my understanding that we have 2 options here. We can irrigate this desert or become a cactus. Now, I haven't checked the numbers, but it's fairly safe to say that it is extremely difficult to turn oneself into a cactus. Arguably, irrigation is the most direct route to ending this desert. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Catherine Henricks. Until next time. Good evening. Do you know more about what's going outside of your town than in it? Good evening. Do you know what's going on outside of your town more than what you know what's going on inside of it? Can you name your county mayor faster than you can the President of the United States? Communities across the country are being shutting down or being consumed by local newspapers across the country are shutting down.